Have you ever wondered what really happens when you look a narcissist straight in the eye and dare to say no? Not a hesitant no, leaving the door open for tomorrow, but a firm, cold, uncompromising refusal, a declaration that says, I see exactly who you are, and I'm not playing this game anymore. For most people, rejection is just pain, sadness, hurt, but something you can eventually heal from and move on. But for a narcissist, rejection isn't just a wound, it's annihilation. It's the moment the mask slips, the illusion of power and greatness shatters into pieces. When you walk away, you're not just ending a relationship, you're tearing down the fragile ego structure they built to survive, and in that moment, their darkest side emerges. The charming smile that once captivated you might resurface, sweet, irresistible, almost impossible to turn away from. They'll whisper promises of a bright future, overflowing with love. But look closely, and you'll see it's all theater. Love bombing and future faking, carefully staged tactics designed to lure you back into the invisible cage. When the honeyed words fail, the mask begins to crack. They'll switch to divide and conquer, bringing in the shadow of someone else to spark jealousy and insecurity. She understands me better than you, or at least she doesn't complain like you. Those words cut like knives into your self-worth, turning love into a psychological battlefield you can never truly win. And if you still stand firm, the rage erupts. The one who once held you in their arms becomes the hunter, lashing out with insults, smearing your name, even rallying friends and family against you. Flying monkeys, sometimes unwitting, sometimes complicit, are turned into weapons, leaving you feeling isolated and betrayed right inside your closest circle. But remember this, their cruelty is not a reflection of your weakness, it's a mirror of their deepest fear. Every insult, every scheme, every rushed replacement screams the same truth. They cannot survive without control. Their darkest self surfaces, not because you are worthless, but because you are irreplaceable. In this video, we'll peel back the mask layer by layer, from the sweet promises to the brutal comparisons, from blind rage to smear campaigns to fleeting rebound affairs. You'll see why rejection terrifies a narcissist more than anything else. Stay until the end, because what you'll discover isn't just how they react when the mask falls, but the path out of the cycle, how you reclaim your strength and step into true freedom. Part 1. The harsh truth, why rejection shatters a narcissist. When you say no to an ordinary person, it's simply a boundary. There may be sadness, disappointment, but eventually both sides accept that the relationship has reached its end. With a narcissist, it's different. In their world, rejection isn't just an answer. It's an earthquake, a deep fracture ripping through the very foundation of their ego. A single no is enough to expose all the illusions they've built their entire life to hide the truth. Inside, they are a fragile self, a wounded child terrified of abandonment. Rejection is the moment the mask falls. Carl Jung called the persona the mask we wear to present ourselves to society. But while for most people the mask is only one part of who they are, for the narcissist, the mask is their entire existence. They have no solid self to fall back on when the mask slips, only emptiness. So when you say no, when you walk away, you're not just withdrawing affection, you're striking the mask itself, cracking it open, exposing a face even they cannot bear to confront. That rejection shatters the illusion they cling to, the illusion that they are the center of the universe. In the script they've written, you are nothing more than a mirror reflecting their greatness. Every admiring glance, every time you lowered yourself, reinforced the distorted belief that they are untouchable. But when you step out of that orbit, the mirror breaks. There's nothing left to reflect, no evidence of their specialness, and in that collapse, they panic. At a deeper level, rejection touches the primal fear most narcissists carry, the fear of abandonment. Many psychological studies show that people with strong narcissistic tendencies often grow up in emotionally deprived homes, parents who were cold or who gave love conditionally. That child learned to cover the pain by building a false self, perfect, powerful, admirable, just to earn attention. But inside, that child still trembles. When you reject them, that child resurfaces. Memories of being ignored, dismissed, unloved flood back, dragging them into panic. They are no longer the powerful adult you once saw, but a desperate, fragile soul thrashing not to drown. Yet, instead of admitting the fear, they explode, raging, striking back and seeking revenge. This is extreme defense at work. Freud once explained that when the ego is threatened, people use all sorts of defenses to protect themselves. For narcissists, those defenses are twisted and aggressive. They deny, "She can't leave me, she's just mad." They devalue, "He was never good enough, I'm the one who matters." They blame. If anyone's wrong, it's her. And when nothing else works, they attack, spreading rumors, smearing your reputation, sabotaging your career, even turning you into the enemy in the eyes of those closest to you. What enrages them most is not losing you, it's losing the ability to manipulate you. As long as you're crying, arguing, or begging, they still feel powerful. But when you are silent, when you are firm, when you proudly say no, their supply is cut off. In their eyes, you're no longer a partner, you're a traitor, and the traitor, in their twisted logic, must be punished. Picture a grand castle built entirely of mirrors. Every compliment, every admiring gaze adds another mirror, making the castle more dazzling. But remove just one stone, and the entire structure collapses. Your rejection is that stone. When the castle shatters, shards of glass rain down. Sharp, dangerous. They cut the narcissist, but they can also slice into you. That's why after rejection you often see furious outbursts, smear campaigns, or a sudden rebound relationship. All of it is just shards of a broken structure. Glittering, but deadly. What you must remember is this. Their collapse says nothing about your worth. It does not mean you weren't good enough or loving enough. On the contrary, their violent reaction proves one thing, that you struck the very wound they've spent their whole life hiding. Your no is not just the end of a romance, it is a verdict against the entire false world they live in. And in that moment, you must see clearly, you are no longer a victim in their play. You have stepped off the stage. You have refused the role they tried to force on you. And only then can you begin to reclaim your power, your freedom, and write your own story. The harsh truth is this. Rejecting a narcissist triggers a collapse at their very core. But that collapse is also an opportunity for you, an opportunity to see them for who they truly are, to recognize your own strength, and to know that from now on, you no longer have to live in that glittering, hollow castle of mirrors. Part 2. The return of sweetness, love bombing, and future faking. When you've firmly said no, when you believe the curtain has finally fallen, you may suddenly witness something unbelievable. The narcissist reappears with a familiar face, the very face that once enchanted you in the beginning. They don't return with rage, but with a gentle smile, soft whispers, and tender gestures of care you once thought you'd never find in anyone else. And in that moment, you begin to understand why so many people leave, only to come back again. Why invisible chains can feel stronger than open violence. Because this is the return of sweetness, the most dangerous and seductive act of all, love bombing and future faking. Remember how, in the early days, they appeared like destiny. They made you believe you were soulmates, two halves finally finding each other in a chaotic world. They knew exactly what made your heart beat faster. They said the words you longed to hear. They gave you the feeling that you were the one and only. In those moments, dopamine and oxytocin flooded your brain, turning love into a sweet drug. And now, after your rejection, they replay that entire script. They hold you tight, they look into your eyes, and they promise, "I'll change. This time I'll start over. We'll have a happy future." Suddenly, old memories rush back. Your heart wavers. You ask yourself, could this be a second chance? Am I being too harsh? And that's when danger strikes, because love is not what they are offering, it's the trap they are setting. Love bombing is not repentance, it's a campaign of reconquest, crafted not for you, but for their wounded ego. They cannot stand losing control, and the fastest way to reclaim it is to lure you back with the very sweetness that once broke you. But they don't stop there. If love bombing is the short-term sugar rush, they have an even bigger weapon, future faking. This is when they paint the dream you've always wanted. They talk about a cozy house with flowers on the balcony, about children running in the yard, about the trips you once dreamed of together. They might take you to look at rings, speak of weddings, even discuss long-term plans as if they were set in stone. And as you hear it, your heart softens. After all, who doesn't want to believe love can be redeemed, that the person you once loved could finally change? But this is the deadliest illusion. Future faking is nothing but a painted dream, a pink facade covering the emptiness inside. They don't promise because they mean it. They promise because they know in your weakness, you'll cling to the vision. And once you return, once you give them another chance, that vision dissolves like smoke. The promises vanish, the plans collapse, and you find yourself back where you started, only more broken than before. The cruelest part is this: every time you go back, you don't just lose more faith in them, you lose faith in yourself. You begin to ask, why was I so naive? Why did I let them fool me again? And that self-blame becomes the invisible shackle, making you weaker while making them stronger. In this game, they don't need to keep their promises. They only need you to believe the promises exist. Picture a spider weaving golden threads in the sunlight. The web glitters, shimmering like a gift from heaven. The prey sees it, mesmerized, approaching, believing it has found shelter. But the closer it gets, the tighter the web entangles, until there's no escape. Love bombing and future faking are that web. You see the light. You believe you've stepped into happiness, but in reality you've walked into the trap. From Jung's perspective, this is the manipulation of an archetype, the ideal lover. The narcissist knows how to play the role flawlessly. They become the savior, the soulmate, the perfect companion. And after your rejection, they slip back into that role, stronger than before, to deceive you once again. But never forget, it's just a performance. Behind the shining eyes and sweet promises lies a panicked soul that doesn't know love, only control. And here is the truth you must carve into memory. The return of sweetness is not proof they love you. It is proof they fear losing power. Every flower they hand you, every promise they speak, is just another strand of the web. If you fall, you return to the same cycle. But if you stand firm, if you see through the illusion, you break free. Your rejection already cracked them. Your resistance to the sweetness is what finally destroys the illusion. So when they return with honeyed words, remember, this is not a doorway to paradise, but a path back to prison. It may sparkle, it may seduce, but in the end it leads only to more pain. Your true strength lies in recognizing it and closing the door. Don't let the sugary haze blind you. Don't let the promise of an imagined future pull you back. Real love doesn't need a script, doesn't need glittering promises. It lives in respect and freedom. As a narcissist, with all their love bombing and future faking, will never give you that. Part 3. When sweetness fails, the rise of rage. When sweetness no longer works, when glittering promises can't sway you, that's when the mask begins to crack completely, and behind it, you see what they've been hiding from the very beginning: rage. No more tender messages, no more surprise gifts, no more vows of a radiant future. All of it vanishes in an instant, replaced by raw, fierce, primal anger. This is the stage many survivors of narcissistic relationships describe as the moment hell begins. Because when fake love can no longer control you, the narcissist is left with only one weapon: emotional, psychological, and sometimes even physical violence. Deep in their unconscious, your rejection has triggered their primal fear of abandonment. But when sweetness fails, that fear mutates into fury. They feel utterly betrayed. How could you, the one who once adored them, who once lived in their embrace, dare to turn away, dare to shatter the universe they built? This rage is not a fleeting feeling. It is the awakening of a survival instinct. Destroy the threat to stay alive. And in their twisted logic, you are the threat. The rage begins with words. You'll hear cutting remarks, cruel insults they never dared speak before. They'll weaponize the very vulnerabilities you once trusted them with. If you confided your insecurity at work, they'll sneer, "No one wants to work with a failure like you." If you shared your struggles with self-pity, they'll laugh, "No one would ever look twice at someone like you." Each word is a blade, aimed straight at your deepest wounds. But words are only the beginning. As the rage builds, the narcissist may escalate into action. They may sabotage your job, spread rumors, smear your reputation, recruit others to paint you as the traitor. This is when the tactic of flying monkeys appears. They turn friends, colleagues, even family into tools, playing the victim and spinning distorted tales. They'll cry that you were cruel, that you abandoned them when they needed you most, that you were the manipulator all along. And soon, people who once knew you start doubting, or even turning against you. And so Tricky was born, which spurred towards a situation where wild capital T troubles appeared to be. Their rage is like a volcano. It has burned inside them for years, hidden under sweetness and promises. But when you stop reacting, when the sweetness fails, the lava bursts forth, consuming everything. You'll see shifting faces, at times aggressive, yelling, attacking, at times cold, silent, menacing, as if you're invisible. This shape-shifting leaves you disoriented because you no longer recognize the person you once loved. But the truth is, this is who they've been all along, the real face beneath the play. In Jung's language, this is the shadow rising. The shadow is the repressed part of the self, all the things we refuse to acknowledge. For the narcissist, the shadow is immense, pitch black, because they've lived their entire life behind a mask. When the mask falls, the shadow consumes them, and you become the mirror reflecting that shadow back. Since they cannot bear to see themselves in it, they choose to smash the mirror. What you must understand is this: their rage does not reflect your worth. It doesn't mean you are wrong or unlovable. It only proves that you dared to stand up, to reject, to touch the very wound they've hidden their entire life. Every insult, every act of revenge is just desperation in disguise. They are not really striking you, they are striking their own fear. But you become the target. The narcissist's rage is like a storm. It begins with dark clouds, then thunder, then winds that rip through everything. It destroys whatever lies in its path. But every storm passes. Your task is not to fight the storm, but to fortify your inner home, lock the doors, seal out the toxic winds, and trust that after the storm, the sky will clear again. When sweetness fails and rage erupts, you finally see the truth with brutal clarity. The narcissist never loved you. They only loved the control you provided. And once you're no longer in their grasp, their true self is revealed. This isn't love, it's a battle for power. And in that battle, the only winning move is not to play, because once you stop reacting, once you refuse to feed them energy, their rage will eventually burn itself out, leaving them face to face with the emptiness they've been running from their whole life. Part 4. Flying Monkeys. When the narcissist mobilizes the world against you. After the outburst of rage, when the screaming dies down but the fear of losing control still smolders inside them, the narcissist often shifts to another tactic, one even more ruthless, more insidious. If they cannot break you directly, they will try to break you indirectly, by turning the world around you against you. This is when the flying monkeys appear. The name may sound like something out of a fairy tale, but it actually comes from The Wizard of Oz, where the Wicked Witch doesn't attack directly, but sends her flying monkeys to spread chaos. The narcissist works the same way. They know that isolation is one of the most powerful tools to weaken you and make you collapse. To achieve it, they begin spinning a new story, a distorted version of reality in which they are the tragic victim and you are the betrayer, the cruel one, even the monster. At first, you can't believe this is happening. You think no one could possibly fall for this. But then you overhear whispers at work, you catch suspicious glances from friends, even notice family members growing colder. Bit by bit, you realize the narcissist has been scattering their story everywhere. And they are skilled at it. With tearful eyes and a trembling voice, they tell of the pain of being abandoned, of the injustice you supposedly inflicted. They highlight tiny details, inflate half-truths, and reshape memories until you are painted as cold, heartless, uncaring. The danger is this: people believe them. Humans naturally empathize with those who cry, with those who seem in pain. They don't realize those tears are just props in a performance. They don't see that the pain is nothing but a mask covering repressed fury, and so you find yourself increasingly isolated. Friends, colleagues, even family members may take their side, becoming flying monkeys knowingly or unknowingly, participating in the smear campaign against you. In psychology, this is a form of projected guilt transfer. They cannot bear the thought of being wrong, so they project the guilt onto you, then gather allies to confirm their innocence. The flying monkeys serve as a false mirror, reflecting back the illusion that they are the blameless victim. Every time someone believes them, every time someone turns away from you, the narcissist feels reinvigorated, empowered, restored in their delusion. And what about you? Doubt creeps in. Maybe I really was too harsh. Maybe I did something wrong. Why does everyone believe them and not me? These questions slowly eat away at you, eroding your confidence. This is the most insidious strike. They don't have to destroy you directly, only make you destroy your own belief in yourself. But the truth? The truth is you are not wrong. What you are experiencing is the result of a collective manipulation campaign. Those around you, friends, co-workers, even relatives, are not necessarily malicious. They are simply pulled into an emotionally charged script. They believe the story because they don't see the whole picture. They haven't lived in the darkness you endured, and because of that, they are easily led astray. You must remember this. When the narcissist unleashes flying monkeys, it is not proof of your weakness, it is proof of your strength. You are such a threat that they have to summon an army against you. Think about it. If you were worthless, if you were easy to control, would they go to such lengths? It is precisely because you are strong, because you dared to say no, that they must mobilize the world to shake you. Here lies the lesson. Distinguish between truth and narrative. The truth is that you rejected their manipulation, you stepped out of their play. The narrative they spin is nothing more than smoke to cover their failure. The more you trust your truth, the freer you become from their control. Imagine yourself standing in a crowded square. Around you they shout, accuse, cry out against you. The crowd murmurs, some cast suspicious glances, others shake their heads in disappointment. You feel utterly alone, as if the world has turned its back. But look closer. All that noise is just smoke. Beneath it, you are still you, still worthy, still valuable, still deserving of real love. And when the smoke clears, when the truth emerges, the crowd will fall silent. The flying monkey tactic is like a sandstorm. It blinds you, disorients you, fills you with fear. But eventually the sand settles, the wind dies, and the sun breaks through again. What matters most is that you hold tight to the compass in your hand, your belief in yourself. And here is the core truth. The narcissist may rally the whole world against you, but they cannot win unless you turn against yourself. When you stand firm in your truth, when you hold fast to your worth, no army of flying monkeys can bring you down, because in the end, They are nothing more than phantoms in a play you have already chosen to walk away from. Part 5. When all else fails, the narcissist seeks a new supply. After trying everything, from replaying the sweetness, to promising a glittering future, to erupting in rage, to unleashing the flying monkeys, the narcissist eventually realizes you are no longer under their control. You've stood firm, you've seen their true face, and you refuse to be dragged back into the chaos. This is when they take their final path, the one many survivors describe as the most painful cut, but also the one that reveals the truth most clearly. They rush to find a new source of supply. It happens shockingly fast. Yesterday they were crying and begging, and today you see them hand in hand with someone new, smiling radiantly, posting pictures of their happiness online. Mutual friends, even family, whisper, maybe they've finally found true love. To the outside world it looks like they've moved on instantly, even thriving more than ever, but the truth is far different. In psychoanalysis, this isn't love, it's survival. The narcissist cannot live without supply, admiration, attention, affection, or at the very least your emotional reaction. When they can no longer draw energy from you, they must quickly find someone else. It's no different from an addict, desperate for a fix, scrambling for another hit to keep the high alive. That's why they leap into a new relationship, not from love, but from terror of emptiness. And that's why it all moves so fast. They may be in love within days, weeks, so quickly it leaves you reeling. But remember, this says nothing about your worth. It does not mean you weren't enough, or that the new person is better. It proves only one thing: they cannot be alone. They cannot face themselves, so they must find another mirror to reflect them, another stage to perform on. The cruelty lies in how they flaunt this new relationship as revenge. The photos, the public declarations of love, all of it is staged for you to see, to hurt you, to make you doubt yourself. This isn't genuine joy, it's a performance, a public statement. I'm still desirable, I'm still loved, I don't need you. But the truth is simple, it's just a new mask, the same play with a different actor. Many victims struggle most at this stage. They see the glittering images and wonder, was I the problem? Will the new person be treated better? Was everything my fault? And this is exactly what the narcissist wants. They want you to doubt, to turn inward, to regret. Because as long as you're looking back at them, they still hold a thread of control. But here's what you must remember. Every play repeats. The new person may be basking in the glow of love bombing, but soon the cracks will show, the promises will fade, and the same cycle will unfold again. Narcissists do not change because they cannot love. They only know how to recycle the script of control over and over, which means the new person is not the winner. They are simply the next victim. From a psychological lens, chasing new supply only deepens their emptiness. Each time they run from the void inside by clinging to someone new, they drift further from the chance to heal. They reinforce the same cycle: fear of abandonment, find supply, control, rejection, rage, new supply. A wheel that never stops. Unless they confront their own darkness, but most never do. For you, this stage is the ultimate test. You will see them glowing beside someone else, you will hear rumors, you will feel the urge to compare yourself, but if you remind yourself it's just a show, the pain loses its grip. You begin to see the truth. Their rush to find new supply is not proof of your inadequacy, but proof of their inability to love. Imagine a person dying of thirst. They throw themselves at any puddle they find, no matter how dirty, no matter how shallow. They gulp it down, only to thirst again, only to search again. That is the narcissist. And you, by saying no, have stepped out of that desert. You no longer serve as a puddle for them to drink from. You are searching for your own spring of freedom, peace, and a love that doesn't require a script. The gift here is this: Once they find new supply, their grip on you weakens. Busy constructing a new stage, they no longer have the energy to keep playing their games with you, and that is when you can finally breathe, heal, and rebuild your life. Don't see them as a victor, see them as a tired actor, condemned to repeat the same role until the curtain falls and no one is watching anymore. The greatest lesson is this: you already won the moment you said no, because while they remain trapped in their endless cycle, you have stepped off the wheel. While they scramble for supply to numb their emptiness, you have chosen to face yours, to heal and to build a life of freedom. And that is the real victory. My friend, the journey of peeling back the narcissist's masks is never easy. From the sweetness that seduced you, to the promises of a golden future, to the eruptions of rage and the smear campaigns, all of it was designed to keep you trapped under their control. And when every attempt fails, they rush to find a new source of supply, because they cannot exist without a reflection. But your refusal changed everything. You dared to step out, to say no, to choose yourself over illusion. That is the greatest power of all, the power no narcissist can endure. Remember this: real love never requires power games. It does not turn you into a puppet, it does not strip away your worth, it does not rely on empty promises. Real love is freedom, it is respect. It is the light that helps you grow into the best version of yourself. And if today you have found the courage to step out, then trust that the road ahead will lead you to a life more open, more peaceful, more worthy. Because there is nothing stronger than a heart that has been broken and still chooses to love, beginning with itself.